the next step is, since we finished with the geometry, is to move on to the mesh. And all you need to do here is just right click and edit, and it will automatically import your geometry. Okay, and there's the geometry. Now, the default settings for meshing are not horrible, so we'll just go ahead and do that. You'll see a lightning bolt next to the mesh. You can either click this lightning bolt or this one. They do the same thing. Okay, so there's a mesh. The problem with the mesh is that you are only going to record velocities and pressures at center points of each element. And that's problematic here because essentially you're only going to have two pressures and velocities at the inlet. And we know that you would expect a parabolic velocity profile, but if you only have 2 points, you're not going to see that. So the mesh needs to be finer. So there are different ways to handle that. First thing to do is to see how many elements there are in total, and that's under Statistics after you've highlighted Mesh. What you see is that there are 77 elements. Okay. You'd like to have somewhere between 4,000 and 40,000 elements. So we're going to go ahead and do some things to change that. Now, one easy thing to do is under the Relevance Center here, it's set to Coarse. If we set that to Fine, and then Lightning Bolt again, now you have more elements. If you scroll down to Statistics, you see that you have 456. Still an order of magnitude lower than what you would like. So, one way to improve that is to go to Sizing. And then under Sizing, you're going to want to select the whole face. Now when you want to select a face, you have to have this button selected. If this button's selected, you'll select an edge. And if you do that, then you'll say how many elements you want on a particular edge. But we're going to do the whole face at once, so we click that, we click there, we've selected everything. The sizing function here needs to know which geometry to operate on. There's no selection, but you click that yellow, and now it gives you the choice of either canceling or applying. What it means by apply is apply the thing that is selected. And we had one face selected, and so now that is recorded as the geometry to work on. The type here is element size or sphere of influence. Element size is the one that we're going to work with. And basically the element size is going to have to be chosen based on the smallest dimension of your system. And in this case, it is this edge here, which is 0.007 meters. Units here are in meters. You can tell that by looking right here. So if that was our element size, then we would only have one element there. So we want to have less than that. So we'll make it tenfold lower than that and update. Highlight the mesh again and look at the stats. It actually hasn't changed, so the face sizing hasn't had any effect. Let's see what happens when we reduce this down to 0.1 millimeters. Again, not really much of an effect. So we're going to put another 0 in there, and this time we'll make it 0.3 millimeters as the element size. I've done this before, so I know that that actually is a pretty good value. But it's generally going to be trial and error. Okay, so now we've got 5,000 elements, and that's not bad. There's going to be a lot happening in this region, and so you'd like to have the most elements around here. Unfortunately, the elements actually look pretty big in that area. If you were very advanced at that, you would know ways, tricks to improve that. But we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're done with the mesh. But one thing that we do need, which is a very important thing, is we're going to need to actually name our edges. Name them and group them, because Fluent is going to need to know the names of these things. Seems like kind of a strange thing, but the thing that we want to click on is something that is called named selections. And the named selections don't show up there. And in fact, I can't even find it up there. But that's okay, because we can select an edge, right click, and then insert. Nope. Okay. How about this? Mesh, right click that, and nope, that's not it. How about right click geometry? How about right click surface body? There it is. Create named selection. Aha. So there it is, actually. There's the right button. And sometimes it pops up a screen and asks you to name the selection. So what we're going to do is we're going to name the bottom edge axis. You need to actually double click that to see the thing that we just named. So by default, it's selected the whole body, and that's not what we want. So instead, we do that. We make sure that the edge is what we're going to get by clicking down that button. We click that edge, apply. It says one edge has been selected. It's labeled red, and we're good. We want to name the other walls as well. And so next thing we'll do is this one. Apply, and right click and rename that as inlet. Right click name selection again, insert name selection. Do this one, select that, change the name to outlet. And then the next step here is to actually group these three edges together. And the way that you do that is you hold down the control button and click them all. They're all highlighted green. Click that, apply. You've grouped three edges, and now you want to name them the wall, because that is in fact the wall of the tube. Okay, the next step then is simply to save the project and then to export. And we're going to export this mesh data file here. Notice here that the name here is an old name that I used before, and you could very easily overwrite some of your old meshes if you weren't extremely careful. Okay, so that does it. That is the meshing.